Good morning, good evening, or good night, whatever time of the day you're listening to this. Thank you so much for stopping by to Just Grow With It podcast. My name is Enea, and I am the host of this podcast. I'm the only person on this podcast as of right now, and this is my first time recording this type of anything really. So I'm super excited, and like I said, this is my first time recording, and I'm a little bit nervous. So if you hear me stuttering and stumbling and saying a bunch of times, or like a bunch of times, or choking on my own spit, it's because I am, and I'm super nervous to do this, but I'm also super excited because this is something I've been wanting to do for such a long time, and I'm finally doing it. So let's get right into it. In today's podcast, we are going to be talking about postpartum and postpartum depression and things that actually help me come out of postpartum depression and things that help me get through my postpartum days. So, a little background on me. My name is Nia, and I'm 22, and I have two beautiful daughters, and they are 19 months and 7 months. And if you do the math, they're barely a year apart. I got pregnant 3 months after I had my oldest daughter, and now I have another baby. So I am living the two under two life, and it is the struggle every single day of my life. Like, my daughters challenge me every single day. Sometimes I don't even know how I make it through the day, but specifically when I first had them, I had no idea how I was going to make it through the days. I was always so worried. I remember after I gave birth to Scarlett, my second daughter. My daughter's names are Genevieve and Scarlett. After I gave birth to Scarlett, I remember my mom came and stayed with me. And I remember she had to leave because it had already been a week. She still has my brother and my sister to take care of. So, of course, she couldn't spend all of her time with me. And I'm so grateful for all of the help that I received after I had her. But I remember when she was leaving, I literally was looking at my mom having a mild panic attack inside, and was just wondering, how am I going to take care of two tiny babies all by myself? And keep in mind, after I gave birth to Scarlett, Genevieve, my oldest daughter, she had barely just turned 1. Their birthdays are super close together. She just started learning how to walk, and it was just a hot mess all the time for we're barely getting out of the hot mess phase, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, things were just super duper hard at first, and it would often leave me feeling just super depressed and doubting myself, wondering if I was doing a good enough job, super anxious. I would go to sleep feeling so guilty. I remember after I put them to bed at night, I would just cry, or I wouldn't even have any time after I put them to bed for myself because I was just crashing when they would crash, and our schedules were all over the place, and things were just not going as smooth as I knew that they could go, or not even necessarily smooth, because nothing in motherhood is ever going to be smooth, if I'm being honest, but just a little bit more tame, like a little bit more, it could have been going better, but that's also part of life and just living and learning. Okay, we're not even 5 minutes in and I'm already rambling and getting off track. So let's get back on track. First and foremost, first and form, first and foremost, I can't even think of how to say that word, but first off, let's just say first off. First of all, I am by no means a licensed doctor. I have no professional experience in any of these things, so don't necessarily take my advice as you like, but I'm not a licensed professional. I am not a trained doctor at any means. This is just my experience and a lot of research that I've done, and pretty much just living and learning and growing with what I've been through. So let's get started. I know in the earlier stages for myself, each time after I gave birth, I remember feeling like it's almost like a high. I feel like you get, like, you're just on survival mode, and you're like, wow, like, I got the hang of this. I can breastfeed, or I can make formula bottles all throughout the night, or whatever your situation may be. All throughout the night, I'm running on like 2 hours of sleep. I feel great. I got this all figured out. And if you're anything like me, that was me each time I would give birth for like the first couple of weeks. And then I would crash so hard. Literally, like within those couple of weeks, I would just crash so hard. All of my emotions would hit. And I'd be like, finally realizing, wow, I am exhausted. I need a break. I need some sleep. I cannot do everything. And that's why after we have babies and even before during our pregnancies, it's so important for you to plan and make time for you to rest and to find people that'll allow you to rest. So I know not everyone is in the situation that I've been in, but I'm very fortunate to have my mom. And my mom would make time out of every week, and around the first 3 months that I gave birth, and she would come and she would come cook for me, she would come clean for me, she would take my daughter or my daughters, and my sister would come, my brother would come, and even my grandma came a couple times. And it's just, it's little things, and they would watch my daughters for me, or when it was just my daughter, and I would get to go take a nap, or I would just get to sleep with my baby all day long, and my mom would handle all of the things that were stressing me out, all of the laundry that was piling up, all of the trash that needed to be taken out, all of the dishes that needed to be done, all of the pump stuff that needed to be washed. My mom would come and she would allow me to rest. And when I tell you, I've never gotten such good sleeps in my life than knowing that when I wake up, my house is going to be not in complete chaos. And especially for new parents, even your spouse or your significant other, you guys have to make sure that you guys are getting enough rest, because if you're not rested, you're not going to feel good, and that's going to trickle out into you having a shorter temper with your baby, or you getting frustrated easier, or you just not feeling good in general. And especially if you're breastfeeding, breastfeeding alone is a whole 9 to 5 job, but you just never get to clock out. Like, it's not even a 9 to 5. It's like, it's horrible how much time breastfeeding takes. And I know that it's great for our babies, and I did try it both times that I had my girls, and I wouldn't really make it past a month. I got mastitis both times, and it was a terrible experience for me. And if you're a pregnant mom and you want to breastfeed, I highly recommend that you try it. There was just some problems with, me breastfeeding my daughters. They were having a hard time latching, and it's a whole nother story. But you have to make sure that you rest. And I know for me, when I was actually getting rest and knowing that my daughters were going to be taken care of and that they were safe, and I was going to get to wake up and not really have anything to worry about, it made me feel so much better. It would help me have a better week, a better month, just knowing and looking forward to that one day out of the week that I was guaranteed help. It was amazing. And I know, like I said, not everyone is as fortunate as I was to have my mom, to have my family. And I know that it's hard sometimes when we have to do things by ourselves. I do live further from my mom and from most of my family. So, like I said, when they come, it was one day a week, and I was super grateful. But there are always other options. If you are in a church, I'm pretty sure that you can ask members of your church, or maybe you have close friends, you can ask some of your close friends. You can, care.com is a great place to find babysitters. And I actually found jobs through there when I was in high school. But anyways, besides the point, me rambling, but besides the point, you have to dedicate time for yourself to rest and to have help around your house. And if you can't afford help around your house, I completely get it. But maybe try asking a friend or a family member. And even doing this before you give birth and trying to set up kind of a schedule of when people could help you is so, like, people are more willing to help you if you let them know in advance, like, hey, the first couple weeks of childbirth are a little difficult. Do you mind if you come help me like one day a week? Or do you think that maybe you could come cook dinner at my house and I'll buy the groceries, or something super simple like that? And you'd be surprised, a lot of people would actually be more than happy to help you. So my point is, get some rest. Find someone that's gonna let you rest, and even if it's just you and your partner, tell your partner, look, I get to sleep on Friday, you get to sleep on Saturday, I get to sleep on Sunday. It's kind of like that sometimes, and especially when you're new parents, you think, oh, we got it all figured out. We can both stay up together. We want to stay up together as a family. But then eventually you guys will kind of get to a point where you're like, all right, I feel like I'm losing my mind. You take a nap and then I'll take a nap. And sometimes it's just like that and it works. Tip number two is setting small goals for yourself is probably one of the biggest things that helped me come out of my postpartum depression and just helped me get my life a little bit back together. I would set really small goals for myself that I knew were achievable. Like, this is horrible, but sometimes things get a little unhinged after you give birth. And I would set small goals like, I'm gonna brush my teeth twice a day still. I'm gonna wash my face every day. I'm still gonna do my skincare. And it doesn't have to be physical things that you do. If it's something like, say you have a dog, I'm gonna take my dog out to use the bathroom every day still. You guys don't even have to go on a walk because I know how exhausting it is after you give birth. But it's just little things like I'm still gonna make sure that I take my vitamins every day. I'm gonna still make sure that I make my bed every day. It can just be a little act of service, a little goal for yourself, something that benefits you, and something that's kind of just a little bit of like you time. And like I said, you don't always have to do something physical. It doesn't have to be about your physical appearance. It could be you just reading a book for 10 minutes, or you doing some yoga, or when you're on the toilet, read the book, put your phone down. Like, it's just a bunch of little tiny goals that you kind of have to set for yourself to keep you in the mindset of like, hey, I'm still a person. I'm not just a cow. I'm not just a milk machine. I'm not just a bottle maker. I'm not just a diaper changer. I'm not just a love lifeline for this little tiny human, even though that is your job, and that will be your job for like the next 18. Well, I'm pretty sure as long as you're alive, you're always going to have that motherly care for your child. So pretty much forever. But you still have to do things and make time for yourself, even if it's not such a big thing. Maybe your partner can get you your coffee on a certain day of the week, or you can have a latte, I got an espresso. My husband gifted it to me actually like 3 years ago, and I literally use that thing every single day. I make myself a latte. Well, now I switched to Keurig, but either way, I would make myself a latte every morning, and that was my little treat for myself. That was my little happiness in the morning. And of course, when you have a baby, that is happiness also. But they exhaust you, and you need to do things that are still going to remind yourself, like, hey, I have interests too. I have things that I like to do. I have things that I look forward to do. And I deserve these little things for myself because I am taking care of a little baby. And it's not just like, oh, that baby, it's your little baby. So you want to make sure that you're in your best self and you're giving that little person the best you that you can give them, which is a well rested, well maintained, caffeinated you, if that is the case. Another thing that I would do for myself a lot, which probably bothered some people, and if you were around me when I had my first daughter, you know, I would take pictures of everything that that child did. Like, she would be eating a Cheeto that she found in the couch, and I'd be like, oh my god, she's so cute, I need to take a picture. So, like, literally take as many pictures as you can. And I don't mean like be glued to your phone taking pictures, but like if you're in a moment and you feel like, hey, I can slip my phone out of my pocket and just do a quick little snap, like, you are going to appreciate those quick little snaps that you took because they do all add up. I know I get memories that pop up on my phone all the time. And sometimes when we are going through postpartum and postpartum depression, our brains are kind of in a fog because, like I've said earlier, we're in survival mode. And we're just trying the best that we can, the best that we know how. This is a new experience. We've never done this before. So our main focus is just keep baby alive, keep mommy alive, and maybe keep our significant other and spouse alive. Like, really, the main focus is just keep baby alive. And I know for me, I was so worried about making sure that my daughter was sleeping good. I wouldn't sleep sometimes at night. I was having a hard time breastfeeding, so I was losing a lot of sleep. But I was in such a fog in that time period. I'm so happy that I took so many pictures. So happy that the people around me took so many pictures of us. And it's just nice to look back on those things. And sometimes I do look back and I cry because I don't remember everything, but it's kind of like it's it's just good. It's just good. It's just nice to have those memories because even though you don't remember it, your brain will like subconsciously remember it when you look at those pictures, and then like it just sparks like all these happy feelings. And I think that's a great way to just kind of not not only live in the moment, but it'll give you moments to look back on, if that makes any sense. Tip number three is I tip number three is something that I don't know if everyone has this, if or if it's just like a personal experience, but when I was going through my postpartum depression, I was feeling a lot of guilt. And I think that when we're going through postpartum depression, nobody really talks about how intense these feelings can get sometimes and how hopeless they can get. And I think that we have to find the root of our problems and why we're feeling this way. Why we're feeling like we're not doing enough for our babies. Why we're feeling like we're not good enough for our babies. Or we could be doing this better and we could be doing that better. It's so easy to pull and pick yourself apart, especially when you have this little human that you just love so much and this sweet little baby that literally just loves you too. Like you're literally their lifeline. You can't do anything wrong in their eyes. And that's kind of what makes it even more stressful sometimes is like, wow, no matter what I do, you're still gonna love me. So like I have to make sure that I'm trying to do everything good and everything perfect. But honestly, I'm here to tell you that nothing is going to be perfect in life, especially being a parent. Being a parent is so crazy. You honestly, being an adult is just crazy in general to me too. Like, we honestly don't, there's no handbook. There's no, like, you turned 18, so here's a guidebook on here's all the rules of being an adult and how to function in society like a normal human being, and here's how to take care of a baby. Like, there's no handbook for that. Nobody tells you these things. You kind of just are like winging it in your more mature kid mindset still. So, really, the best thing that we can do for ourselves, I feel like, when we're in these situations is figure out why we're feeling guilty. And for me, I would feel like I wasn't stimulating my daughter's brains enough. I would feel like I wasn't reading to them enough. I feel like I would be too tired to do things with them. And I would really beat myself up about it. Or sometimes I would snap at them. Well, more so now because my 19-month-old is, I feel like, entering the terrible twos a lot earlier than other babies. And as much as I do love her, that girl is a wild thorn baby. Like, she is insane. She keeps me on my toes all the time. Like, she needs probably four adults supervising her at all times because she's just all over the place. She's a busybody. She always talks. She always wants to be read to. She always wants to read to people. She's so happy. She's so full of life, and she's just a very hard person to keep up with. And even now, I feel like I don't always do enough things with them. Like, I'll see other moms doing crafts with their kids all day, every day, or they're doing all these things on social media, and I would have a really hard time comparing myself to them and being, I would think that's like, wow, I could be doing this for my daughter like they're doing it, and I could be doing that with my daughter, they're doing it. And the reality of it is, that's their life, that's what works for them. I don't know what goes on behind the camera, but I would have a really hard time comparing myself to other people, and that would make me feel guilty. That would make me feel like I was a horrible mom. And something that I had to do for myself was I would limit my social media time. I would change the content I would watch. I would only consume content on how I could better myself, or how I could help my daughter more, or how I could get us on a schedule, how I can make more time for the things that I wanted to do instead of just sitting in my sadness and feeling guilty all the time for not doing enough. So, definitely getting to the root of why you're feeling the way that you're feeling can really help you. Something else that I had a really hard time with, that would honestly, just the thought of it alone would make me really, really sad. And I would have a really hard time coming out of these negative thoughts when I would feel them, was feelings of worthiness and feeling like I was not worthy of my daughters, feeling like I was not worthy of being here, feeling like, when I tell you the thoughts would just spiral, I would get sad that I was even feeling that way, and then that would make me feel like, see, like, if I didn't feel this way, then, like, because I feel this way, I don't deserve my daughters, because me feeling this way makes me a bad mom. Like, the silliest things I would tell myself. And I think sometimes when we have our babies, we kind of feel like, oh, I need to be super mom. I need to be on super mode. I don't need to feel anything other than just love, joy, and happiness and energy to take care of my baby. But the reality of it is that we're still people too. Just because we have babies doesn't mean that we're not inclined to feel sadness, that we're not inclined to feel stress or anxiety or unworthiness. And sometimes the things that life throws at us before we have kids can make us kind of feel like I don't deserve all of these good things. But something that I had to really learn and work on was that the past is in the past and you're living in the now. And all that we can do really is just live in the now and try our best to be the people that we would want our kids to grow up to be, even if that is someone that's constantly growing. Obviously, like, I'm still learning how to maneuver myself. I'm still figuring myself out in life, and I have to be the one to be like, okay, I forgive myself for everything in the past, and I'm not going to think about the past anymore because it's not going to change anything in my future, if that makes any sense. So far, and what I can do now is just realize that, hey, I'm in control of my life now, and all of these negative things that happened to me in the past, they're not going to happen to me ever again because I'm in control of my life now, and I don't have to worry about what other people think of me or follow anyone else's rules or standards. All I have to do is just follow my own rules and make my own life and realize that I'm in control and I can do everything that I need to do to be a good parent. And the past does not define who I am as a person yet. These feelings, I would highly recommend therapy. That's something that I did, and I was honestly a little bit scared to go back to therapy because I haven't been since I was like probably 13 or 14. And honestly, the therapist that I had, she was not it. She was just always like, she had a solution to my problems, but like that solution was not going to happen. And I was so like kind of, I don't know if I want to go to therapy again or not. And I almost gave up on trying to go this time around. But I went through 3 different therapists. I finally found one that works amazing for me. And if you're listening to this, thank you so much for all your help. But really try going to therapy. And if therapy isn't a thing for you, or something that you'd be interested in, you could always try journaling or just journaling, having a diary is about the same thing. But just maybe talking to someone that you trust about your feelings and maybe, you know, I don't know, maybe you can like go on a group chat on Facebook or something. I heard those places are a little bit chaotic though, so maybe not. But maybe I'll make a group chat if that's something that you guys are interested in for all the mommies out there. But, just talk to someone that you feel comfortable confiding in. And I know for me, even though I do go to therapy, I will literally call my mom and I will call my aunt and I will even call my little sister and I will just talk their heads off about all of the problems that I'm having. And they will give me such great advice. My aunt and my mom, they will give me the advice that from everything that they've learned. I mean, my mom raised 8 kids, my aunt has 3 kids, and even though they're much older than me, it doesn't mean that they haven't experienced the feelings that I'm feeling as a mom. The feelings of loneliness, the feelings of doubt, and things do get better eventually, and they definitely have gotten better. And I'm so happy that I was able to make it out of those really hard times. But talking to people that have been in the same situation as you can be so beneficial because they'll offer you advice, they'll listen, they understand where you're coming from, and they won't bash you in any way or make you feel like the feelings that you're feeling are not important or not normal. And if anyone does make you feel like that, then maybe they shouldn't be in your life in this time. Even though I have so many more tips that I would love to share with you guys that help me come out of my postpartum depression, I will just share one more with you guys today, and that is to still embrace who you were before you had your kids. And when I say that, I mean if you were like going out every day, like getting drunk off your butt, like smoking weed all the time, or just being a little bit chaotic, like that's cool. Like that's cool that you did those things. But now we're in a different season of life. But I'm talking more about like, say you liked baking a lot before you had your kids, say personal experiences, right? I love Hello Kitty. I love makeup. I love going to Target. I love going on walks. I love reading books still. I love taking, self-care showers. I love spending time with just me and my husband. I love doing nails. I love doing eyelashes. Like, there's so many things that I love. And I almost felt like I didn't really know myself once I gave birth to my daughters because I thought all the hobbies I have, those are hobbies that a mom can have. Those are things that are just more so for, you know, just single people, or like not single people necessarily, but more so like people without kids. Like, those aren't hobbies. Those aren't real hobbies that moms could have. But when I tell you that you can incorporate your kids in everything, you can incorporate your kids in all of your hobbies, you can still have the life that you want to have, and your kids are not getting in the way of stopping you from having the life that you want to have. Unless, like I said, like you're out smoking all the time, or, you know, going out and clubbing all the time. And, that's cool too, but maybe just like for the weekends, or, I mean, we don't want to include our kids in those kinds of things, but you guys kind of get the point of what I'm saying is kids save hobbies, include them in them. But I know for me, I was so worried about if my kids would be embarrassed of the hobbies that I have. Like, I love super cute little like Japanese things. Like, I love kawaii stuff. I love Hello Kitty. I love makeup. I love movies, like little kid like Disney movies. I love things like that. And I was so worried, like, if I were to drop my kids off at school and I have like Sanrio keychains and stuff, like, are other kids going to bully my kids because they might think that I'm a weird mom or something? And honestly, all of it's just silly, but when I tell you guys, my thoughts would spiral. They would spiral. And I was just so worried about, am I going to be able to still enjoy the things that I enjoyed before I had kids? And I am. I enjoy them even more now. When I do my makeup, my oldest daughter will come and she'll sit on the counter and she'll put blush on, or she'll put chapstick on. Or when I bake, my daughter helps me bake, and I read to my daughters every night. I still do the things that I love. And even though it might take a little bit more time than it normally would, say an hour baking project might take 2.5 hours because my almost 2-year-old decided that she has to help, and will just pull up her little stool and she'll help me do what I need to do. But don't forget the things that you enjoy doing, and I feel like you might enjoy them even more when you have kids, because it's just amazing seeing their little faces light up when you're sharing the things that you love, because then it becomes things that they love. And it's honestly just such a special experience. And I always pull out my camera whenever my daughter and me are doing stuff like that, because it's just special. Like I said, like, I honestly, it's just crazy getting to experience your joys and watching them become their joys and their interests. And you can do those things by yourself still. Like, I'm not saying, oh, every time you do something that you used to enjoy before your kids, you have to include your kids or you're a bad mom. No, that's not what I'm saying. Sometimes you just need mommy time, but it's important to not forget about the things that you enjoy, and you can still enjoy the things that you enjoyed before your kids, because you deserve it. I mean, that's who you are. That's completely normal. Just because you have kids doesn't mean you have to just become a still boring person and just want to make bottles all day, and your interests are your kids' interests. Like, you're allowed to have interests outside of your children, and that does not make you a bad parent in any way, shape, or form. And you're a great parent for having your own interests. I mean, sometimes we forget who we are, and it's really important to not forget that. So I think that's all the tips that I'm going to share with you guys today. I'm like already 30 minutes into recording, and I feel like this is going to be such a pain to edit because I say and like and I stutter so much. But anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this podcast. I hope that this is somewhat useful for you. I hope that if you take anything from this, I hope that you just take that you're a great mom and that you're doing amazing, and the fact that you're even looking for ways to help you come out of your postpartum depression or how to deal with postpartum is amazing, and that says a lot about you as a mom. So thank you so much for stopping by, and don't forget to like and comment, subscribe on this video. Let me know what else you would like to see in the next and upcoming podcast, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day, morning, or night. All right, bye.